The coffee shop was nearly empty that Tuesday morning, just the way Sarah liked it. She could hear every clink of ceramic, every hiss of the espresso machine, every whispered conversation. But what caught her attention wasn't a sound. It was the man at the counter, patting his pockets with increasing desperation, his weathered face flushing red as the barista waited. Sarah knew that panic. She'd lived it more times than she cared to count. The single mother of two glanced at the crumpled bills in her hand, her last $20 until Friday's paycheck, and made a decision that would change everything. "I've got it," she said quietly, stepping forward before she could talk herself out of it. The man turned, his gray eyes startled. He was older, maybe in his 60s, with silver hair and clothes that had seen better days. "I couldn't possibly. Please, I've been there." Sarah handed the barista the 20, ordered her usual black coffee, and paid for his as well. "We all need a little help sometimes." The man's throat worked as he swallowed hard. "Thank you. You have no idea what this means." His voice cracked slightly, and Sarah noticed his hands were shaking as he accepted the cup. "It's just coffee," she said with a gentle smile, though they both knew it was more than that. It was dignity. It was being seen. It was someone caring when the world felt impossibly cold. He opened his mouth as if to say more, but Sarah was already heading toward the door, her mind already spinning through the calculations of how she'd make that $20 stretch until payday. Emma needed new school shoes. Her toes were practically bursting through the canvas, and Jake's asthma medication was running low. Maybe she could pick up an extra shift at the diner. As she pushed through the glass door into the crisp autumn air, she didn't see the man watching her leave, didn't see him carefully fold the napkin where she'd accidentally left her receipt, didn't see the single tear that rolled down his weathered cheek. The next morning started like any other chaotic Wednesday. Sarah burned the toast while packing lunches, refereed an argument about whose turn it was to sit in the front seat, and mentally rehearsed her apology to Mrs. Henderson for this month's rent being 3 days late. Again, she was wiping jelly off Jake's face when Emma screamed, "Mom, there's a helicopter in our yard!" Sarah's first thought was that her 7-year-old had finally lost her mind. Their yard was a patch of brown grass behind their rental duplex in a neighborhood where the most exciting thing that ever happened was Mrs. Chen's garden gnome going missing. But then she heard it, the unmistakable thunder of rotor blades, growing louder, shaking the cheap windows in their frames. Sarah rushed to the door, Jake and Emma crowding behind her, and stopped dead. Sleek black helicopter was indeed descending onto the empty lot beside their house, sending up clouds of dust and dried leaves. Neighbors poured out of their homes, phones raised, faces shocked. "Did you order a really big pizza?" Jake asked, his 6-year-old logic trying to make sense of the impossible. The helicopter touched down. The door opened, and out stepped the man from the coffee shop, except he didn't look like the same man. He wore an expensive suit now, and behind him emerged 2 other people, a woman in professional attire carrying a briefcase, and a younger man who looked like he could be security. Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs. What had she done? Had she somehow broken a law? Was he here to Ms. Sarah Mitchell? The woman approached first, her heels clicking on the cracked sidewalk. Yes. Sarah's voice came out as barely a whisper. The older man stepped forward then, and his eyes, those same gray eyes from yesterday, were bright with emotion. "I'm Robert Hendricks. Yesterday, you bought me coffee when I'd lost my wallet. You showed me kindness when I was invisible, when I was nobody." "You're not nobody," Sarah said automatically, because in her world, everyone mattered. "Everyone deserves a little help sometimes," Robert finished, echoing her words from the day before. "Ms. Mitchell, I need to tell you who I am. I'm the founder of Hendricks Technologies. Maybe you've heard of it?" Sarah's mind reeled. Hendricks Technologies was one of the largest companies in the state, responsible for thousands of jobs and millions in charitable giving. She'd seen their logo on the side of the children's hospital, where Jake got his treatments. "I don't understand," she whispered. Robert's voice grew thick. 3 months ago, I lost my wife of 40 years to cancer. I fell into a depression so deep I couldn't see daylight. Last week, I walked away from everything. My company, my home, my life, because I couldn't remember why any of it mattered anymore. I was testing something. Testing whether human kindness still existed in this world, whether anyone would see a struggling stranger and care. He paused, wiping his eyes unself-consciously. 27 coffee shops. Ms. Mitchell, 27 times I pretended to lose my wallet. 26 times people looked away, looked through me like I was nothing, like I didn't exist. His voice broke. And then I walked into that shop yesterday, and you, with your last $20, as I later learned from that receipt, you saw me. You helped me. You reminded me that humanity still exists. Sarah felt tears streaming down her own face now. Emma clutched her hand tightly. The woman with the briefcase stepped forward. Ms. Mitchell, Mr. Hendricks spent last night finding out everything about you, about your children, about how you work 2 jobs to keep a roof over their heads, about how you've never missed one of Emma's school plays despite working double shifts, about how you drive Jake to his asthma specialist 40 miles away because you refuse to let anything happen to your children. You didn't have to. Sarah started, but Robert held up a hand. That coffee cost you $3.50, but it saved my life. It reminded me why my wife and I built our company in the first place, to help people, to make the world softer, kinder. And I'd forgotten. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. This is the deed to this house. It's yours, paid in full. No more rent, no more landlords, no more fear of eviction. Sarah's knees went weak. Emma gasped. But Robert wasn't finished. This, he handed her a second envelope, is a full-ride college fund for both Emma and Jake. Every expense covered. Any school they choose. I can't. This is too much. Sarah was shaking now, overwhelmed, unable to process what was happening. And this, Robert's voice softened further, is a job offer. My company needs a head of our new charitable foundation, someone who understands what it's like to struggle, someone who sees people. The salary is $200,000 a year, plus benefits. Full medical for your family. Emma can have those new shoes. Jake can have his medication without you losing sleep over the co-pays. Sarah collapsed onto her porch steps, sobbing. Not delicate tears, but deep, bone-shaking sobs, years of stress and fear and exhaustion pouring out of her. Emma and Jake wrapped their small arms around their mother, and Robert knelt down in his expensive suit on their cracked sidewalk. You gave when you had nothing to give, he said gently. You saw me when I was invisible. That $20 was the most expensive cup of coffee I've ever had and the most valuable, because it reminded me why I'm here, why any of us are here, to see each other, to help each other, to be human. Through her tears, Sarah managed to speak. It was just coffee. Robert smiled, his own eyes wet. No, Ms. Mitchell, it was everything. As the neighborhood watched, as phones recorded, as the morning sun broke through the clouds, Sarah held her children and understood what she'd always known, in her heart, but had struggled to believe. That kindness is never wasted, that seeing someone truly seeing them can change the world, that sometimes the smallest gestures ripple outward in ways we can never imagine. She'd given a cup of coffee to a stranger, and in return, she'd received not just security or money, but something far more precious. Proof that in a world that often felt impossibly hard, impossibly cold, love still won. Humanity still mattered, and one person's kindness could still change everything. The helicopter sat silent on the lot, a surreal monument to an impossible morning. But the real miracle wasn't the money or the house or even the helicopter. It was the reminder that we're all just humans trying our best. And sometimes all any of us needs is for someone to see us and say, I've got it. We all need a little help sometimes. And in that moment, as Sarah hugged her children and thanked the stranger who was no longer a stranger, she understood that she'd been given a gift far greater than anything in those envelopes. She'd been given proof that the way she'd chosen to live, with generosity, with kindness, with open hands even when her pockets were empty, was exactly right. Kindness, it turned out, was the most powerful force in the universe, and it always came back around.